Yeah.
Let's get to No Fence Riders. What do we got? What's number one?
Let's do it. We do this every week with Maurice. No Fence Riders, yes or no questions about the upcoming game. This week it's the Browns Steelers. And our first question involves a player we spoke about earlier. Will Myles Garrett have more sacks than T.J. Watt on Sunday? Maurice, what say you?
Oh, Maurice the bias. That's you should call me something like that. You know I'm going Miles. Yeah.
Homer Mo.
You went with Miles.
Yeah,
it was a
Homer
pretty
Mo.
even split on the set. The rest of the guys gave us answers. Bull and Brad said yes. JG, Tyvis, and Jason went with Watt.
Wow, Bull. What? Just because? Because why?
It's a crapshoot. They're both good at getting sacks, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many sacks does T.J. Watt have?
5 in 9 games.
So Myles Garrett is averaging more than a sack a game. T.J. Watt's averaging less than a sack a game. So
Yeah. You're just going with the numbers.
you're going with the numbers?
Yeah.
In this case.
Man, I say no, right? The reason I figured T.J. Watt won't have, or did I say Myles Garrett won't have enough sacks?
You said
You don't
Watt will
remember
have
what you
more.
said
Hey,
again.
put my
No,
joint
you
back
said-
up.
And here we go. Here we
You said
go.
you wouldn't know that Miles would have more sacks.
Okay, so I said no. And well, I was right. I was right anyway. I was right to begin with.
See, I like how you do it because you answer one way
Yeah.
and then you argue the other, so you're right every
Just the
time.
definition of fence rider.
Hey, yo. Like, this is why this segment is great. No, but T.J. Watt, listen, when you look at him, he's going against, not Hubbard, but Hudson. He has some.
Or Conklin.
Mary Kay just tweeted Conklin missed again today.
Yeah, he's not
appearing
playing.
He out of
today.
here.
Then Hudson.
And he would have got them sacks on Conklin too. Don't act like he's missed it, like, because I think he's not playing that well.
Jay, you
beat up.
were a TJ over Miles too. Why?
For exactly what I said earlier
Yeah.
in the show, we saw what TJ did to James Hudson last year.
Yeah.
I do think Hudson is drastically improved, but I think TJ's going to get something.
And on top of this, I thought this on this. I don't think Deshaun Watson's pocket presence is at the height of where it needs to be.
It is not yet.
It's not, but he's still
But he did a great job of
I
avoiding
thought he
the
was.
press.
I thought he did.
He's getting better.
He's harder to sack than Pickett, who's kind of a statue.
Right.
Which is why that variable right there was why I kind of struggled with this because initially I said, well, it's a meaningful game for Pittsburgh. It means nothing for Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I know what TJ plays like when the chips are down.
Right.
I'm going to bet on that guy all day, every day. But then I started thinking that very point. I'm like, wow, Pickett he's not a sitting duck back there, but he's not Deshaun Watson. And I thought Deshaun Watson, of all of the things that I thought he's improved on, I thought just from week to week, his pocket presence, feeling pressure where he can't see it, stepping up, sliding, and more importantly, running past the line of scrimmage, he's going to be tough to bring down.
Yeah.
So that's why I struggled with it. Ultimately, I went with TJ.
Next question. He has not done it yet. Will this be the week Deshaun Watson throws for 250 passing yards? Maurice.
I told you I'm optimistic. I'm saying yes because I just think he wants to end. I'm serious. So I'm really saying this. So he wants to end the season and go out on a high. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like if I'm him and I step back in, you only remember yourself when you had success in Houston. And on some level, you know you won't get there immediately, but you're trying to build back up and have success. And I just believe so.
Especially in this his last game. Like, this is the lasting impression we're going to have of him until next September, or till later this September. So
It is his last game. Maurice said yes, and I'm glad he did because that splits a dead even 3-3 split
really?
on the panel. On the yes side, joining Maurice is Brad G and Jason. On the no side, Jay Bull and Tyvis.
Maurice answered exactly how I would have. This is his last chance. I think he knows that, and we've seen progression every week, right? Houston was a disaster. We've seen it get better, a little bit better, a little bit better. The first quarter was awful on Sunday. He didn't have the ball at all in the second quarter. Had a terrific second half, and I think this is the last time for him to really put something together.
So 250 plus. G. Bush, you said
And that's not a high bar.
Right.
no, it's not. But he's been nowhere near that.
I
know.
lost a lot of money on 216 last week, so 250 is
Was that your money or was that free money?
It was free money,
Okay.
but free money's my money, and it's no longer my money.
It's not your thing.
Big Nuggets had bet online. He had draft.
Maurice, don't bet, brother.
I
Don't do
downloaded
it.
every casino app possible. I took every Maurice. I'm not kidding.
I would just tell Maurice never to bet because I
gotta
could see Mo going
diversify.
through the
You
casino.
gotta
Mo's like,
diversify, Mike.
Mo's
What
going
are
to say,
you doing?
give me the Browns, give me the over on all of these individual numbers for every single Browns player. Give me the over.
By the way, as a former gambler, let me give advice to all those who have started gambling here. Let me give you some advice. Two things. Number one, Don't bet more money than you can afford to lose. That's number one.
Facts.
That's the most important
Facts.
thing. Number two, never bet on a game involving your favorite team. Never. Because your biases about your team will affect your analysis of the game.
It always does.
Always does.
We can't take our heart out of our brain. in that game.
Now, you want to drop $10 on a future for the Browns to win the Super Bowl? Fine. But if you're on a week-to-week basis, don't bet on your team.
I agree, but G-Bush, real quick, God forbid, and I'm sorry for thinking Deshaun Watson could not throw for 217 yards, which is a very low bar.
It is.
Right.
I mean, you would think it would be.
And if
but
he'd had a possession or two in the second quarter, probably would have got
No one
there.
was more
Maybe.
mad than me
Could've.
about that Commanders
Well, he only
drive.
threw for 168.
Yeah, true.
And he only had 9 completions. Bull, I want to ask you a question because we really haven't talked about this whole new universe that we're all in. We could all, if we wanted to right now, pull out our phone and make a bet. That's all new.
Yeah.
I know that you've had a history with gambling. I would ask you I would throw a third never in there because I also have friends some of whom are still struggling with that addiction.
Right.
Others, like you,
Yeah.
just put it down and said,
Right.
I'm bigger
I
than
play
that.
fantasy, that's all
And
I
that's
do.
it.
Yeah.
But one thing I hear over and over is never, ever, ever, and this is what I thought you were going to say for your number 2, but you said something that's very smart. Don't bet on your team.
Yeah.
But the other thing that these friends of mine have always said is never, ever, ever, ever place what they call recovery bets.
Well, that.
So
in
that's
other
where,
words, you
what's a
down big
recovery
for the
bet?
week. Don't bet it all
so,
in one game. To
yeah,
get it back.
Maurice, a recovery bet
Yeah.
is you're down 1,000 for the weekend,
Yeah.
but you look at the Monday night play and you're like, whoa, this is a lock.
Bet it
I'm
all.
going to bet 1,000 and I'm going to get it all back. There's no such thing as a lock.
If your
first of
life
all.
is going to be screwed up by the money you lose,
Yes. Are
then
you
don't
okay to
bet
go
it.
2,000 in the
Yes.
hole? To your first rule.
Yes.
If you're not, don't play recovery plays.
Yes.
Maurice, black people got a different couple rules, right?
Okay.
Black people don't go nowhere where gambling involves shooting dice. If they shooting dice, turn around and walk out. You want no problems with that. And also, lending people money is gambling too.
That's
never
true.
Lend,
That's very true.
Never lend somebody money that you need right back. Shout out to the great Dre.
I've lent people money that I've never gotten back.
It is gambling.
It
You're
is
betting they're
gambling.
going to pay you back.
You got to be cool.
And you got no odds on it either.
No odds.
By the way, getting back to the question for a second, the reason I went under is because I heard what I thought was the best analysis I've heard of Deshaun Watson, where he's been this year in relation to Kevin Stefanski, and I was listening to an interview with Albert Breer, who's a very plugged-in guy, right?
And a Cleveland
Absolutely.
fan.
And he's
Cleveland guy.
a Buckeye
He's
fan.
plugged
but
in, but he's especially
He's a Buckeye
plugged into
fan.
Cleveland.
He's
Yeah,
very
he is-
plugged into Cleveland.
he is a
yes.
Buckeye fan, but he's
and
definitely
this is what he
plugged
said,
in.
because somebody asked him, are the Browns concerned at all that Deshaun Watson will never get back to being the guy he was in Houston?
We
And
had
I thought,
that discussion.
Yeah.
yeah,
We had that discussion.
and I thought, and I thought Albert was going to say, well, a little, or he said 0%. They have no concern. He said they are spending these final 6 weeks essentially finding out what he's good at doing, like what's best for him. And there's things that they have learned in these 6 games, like that they've got to tailor the offense more for him than they've
Which
been
is,
able
I think,
to
the best
this year.
use of these 6 games.
Exactly.
We figure out what he can do, and let's do more
Which
of
is
that.
why the offense next year is going to look completely different.
Yeah, I
And
think
they
it will.
expect him to be a star next
And that's,
year.
in my opinion, that's why they threw it as much as they did against the Saints when everyone's screaming, why are you throwing the ball? It's 40 below. Well, because Deshaun told you he didn't want to come here because of the weather. Well, here's a perfect opportunity to see what he can do in horrible weather.
Yeah.
That's why they
In
threw it
this
that
weather.
much. That's why they took points off the board last week against Washington. Why kick a meaningless field goal in a game you don't
Exactly.
need
would've
when you have a
been-
chance to see what your quarterback can
That's
do
right.
in a 4th and 3 situation?
I
at
agree
the
with
goal
that.
line.
It makes perfect sense. The difference was because it was that 0.4% chance to make the playoffs, it gave all of the naysayers fire for saying we still have a chance. That's why I
Number
kept
one-
saying we don't have a
Number
chance.
one, they don't care what the naysayers say, and number 2, they punted on the playoffs a long time ago.
Gentlemen's
Regardless
punt.
of what the-
It was a
what
nice
the stats
sneaky
say.
punt. It was one of the.
Gentleman's
It
punt.
was the punt they lined
was a
up
pooch
with the
punt.
quarter.
Yeah.
With the quarterback. Just
I said no because he completed 9 balls in the best game that he's played
Yeah,
so far.
yeah.
And had 168 yards passing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a big leap. I hope he gets there, but I don't think he will.
Question number 3. We got to run through these next couple pretty quickly here. Maurice, this is a running back question. No one's better to answer this than you. Will Nick Chubb outrush Najee Harris and Jalen Warren
was embarrassing.
combined?
That was close.
Yeah, so Najee Harris is my guy. I went to go visit the Steelers last year, but you know I am a homer Baby, I'm a homer for my man Nick Chubb. I think he's the best in the league. So we going with old Nicholas.
Old Nick.
Saint Nick.
Old Saint Nick. And once again, we had a
Saint Nick,
split
yeah.
on the panel. Maurice said yes, and he joins J. Brad Tyvis on that side of the fence. The other three, Jason, Bull, and G, said no.
Well, I just think in the end, Harris, who's played well this year, Harris has played better second half of the year. But Jalen Warren's been a nice addition for them. He's gotten, combined, they'll probably get more carries than Nick Chubb. And the Browns' run defense is trash.
This plays into, I think they're going to throw the ball a lot with Deshaun.
Yeah.
Nick's numbers the last few weeks have not been what they were earlier in the year. Najee has been
Although
better.
last week he went up for over 100 yards, but not on a lot of carries.
Najee has been better.
Better, yeah.
These last few weeks. I just think Steelers are going to outrun him.
In the words of the great Tupac, let me see you toss it up. They're going to throw the ball. They're throwing the
They are
ball
gonna throw it.
They're throwing that ball. Sorry, Nicholas, you're going to get about 12 and a half carries, 12 touches. You might get asked for some screens, but they're going to throw this football
So much
everywhere.
for that rushing title, which is an extreme long shot anyhow. But
I feel sorry for
McNuggets,
him.
what's our last one?
We got three more.
Oh,
I
wow.
like calling him
Rapid
Old Saint
fire.
Nick. That was funny, Maurice. All right, next. Will Grant Delpit have more tackles than Minka Fitzpatrick? It was a 2-4 split. Maurice, are you going with the 4 or are you going with the 2?
I'm going with 4. Wherever the 4 sits.
And he says no. He says no, and he joins J. Brad, G, and
He
Jason.
wants to be part of the in crowd.
But he is
Yes.
part of the cool kids.
Is Minka Fitzpatrick? No,
Steelers actually have a front seven that can tackle.
Right.
Is
They
Grant
do.
Delpit good
Fitzpatrick's
now?
not going to get as many tackles.
Well, is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Is Grant
I know.
Like,
You don't know because your
Grant
safety should never have that
It
many
should,
tackles, but
right.
they do
But
in this
Grant
offense.
Delpit leads the team in tackles.
Is he that good? Is he good now? Like, I spent half
It's
the year
not that he's
calling
that
him out.
good.
but-
It's just
Delpit's
that
been
he
much
gets a lot
better
of
of late.
tackles.
Well, I agree, but I also say it was Carson Wentz.
right.
Yeah.
And that he is one of the biggest head scratchers I've seen at that position in the last decade. He literally went from a guy who was in the MVP discussion and probably would have received the award if not hurt.
Yep.
Why Ron Rivera decided
It was baffling.
it was one of the dumbest things he's ever done.
Yeah.
That,
It doesn't make sense. He sucks.
the analytics people, I don't want to say it because every time I say small sample size, y'all going to erupt on something.
Yeah.
No, it ain't. Yes, it is. No, but the small sample size is true. Like, he went to North Dakota State. He played against inferior talent.
True. But, gee, the weird thing was, as Jay said, like early in his career, he looked like he was going to be really good.
And now he looks like-
And then he's just went off a cliff.
He
And
went
I
off-
think he is so mentally effed up.
I agree
that
with
he
that.
has never been able to come back from that.
Crazy.
And will never will. At this
Well,
point.
here's if that's just like somebody like him getting his job taken, and then Foles becoming the Super Bowl MVP
Yeah.
is devastating.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He can't even wear
Yeah.
that ring out. He can't even wear that to BW3s.
That's like your girl leaving you and going for Tom Cruise.
No, it's like
and landing Tom Cruise. You're like, wait,
it's-
what?
No, it's like your girl leaving you for one of your friends that used to be chubby. Then he got in shape. Now he has a six-pack and got a better job than you now.
And the only thing you had over him was he was better. Like you were in better shape.
And then you fell off.
And then you
No,
lost that.
Gee, it's like that. Except he had won the lottery and then spent it all on a car, and now he's broke living in a box.
Yeah.
That sucks.
All right, we got two more.
We got
more,
two
Mike.
more. Yes, this is quick. Jason's the only one that said yes. So Maurice, if you say yes, it's you and Jason in the club together. Will Deontay Johnson score his first touchdown of the season?
Screw him.
I don't want you to be I don't want you to be lonely, man. I'm with you, Jason.
Come on, buddy.
It's amazing that the guy has no touchdowns. This year.
Yeah, I had him on my
Amazing he has no
fantasy
touchdowns.
squad.
Amazing.
Well,
Yeah,
that
I
was like
think he had
Jarvis
8
Landry a
last
couple
year.
of years ago. Jarvis Landry had a good number of catches, but no touchdowns.
Yeah. Deontay Johnson's just too good of a player to go all year long. I'll die on that hill. It's going to happen this week because he's just too talented to go all year without a
is good.
touchdown. That's all.
You're not alone on that hill because now Maurice is.
Come on, buddy. The water's
All right,
warm.
last
Come
one.
on.
Last one.
Last one. I'm not going to tell you which side, but this was our only unanimous answer.
Whoa.
Well, David
Well,
and
we'll know
Njoku
what
have
side.
more reception yards than Pat Fryermuth, who is now Kenny Pickett's
Well-
favorite target.
He loves them.
Well, I rooted for Njoku, I think, like last week or 2 weeks ago. So I'm gonna stick it all the way Browns, and I'm gonna stay traditional and consistent. And I'm probably the guy that Bull's talking about when he say, "Don't gamble on your favorite team."
Well, the one and only Mo Biased is joining literally everyone. It's a party up on the yes side of the fence here.
Yeah, there we go.
Gotta
There we go.
We gotta find a way to add the ghost of Mo to
That's
like
funny.
Can we do half transparency on these?
I was looking for Tigers at the beginning of the show.
Look.
Where's he at?
Tyus is hiding today.
Hey, before we let you go, thoughts on the Buckeyes' gut-wrenching, turn the calendar New Year's Eve night loss.
They played well.
Yeah,
They did.
I'll be okay. So G. Bush, right? I woke up and your face was everywhere on my phone. Right, that's one thing I want to say, right? so I woke up. I said, I know
the
that
best
guy,
part about
right?
that clip is the thumbnail is actually Bull's face.
It
Thumbnail's
is.
Bull's face, and then it's Bush ranting.
Yeah. I got the soul. I got the soul of Bull in me.
Think how many views that would have if
Yeah.
it was G. Bush's face, not Bull's face on the thumbnail. We got 6 million
So-
on that. It could be up to 20.
You say
will
my
say
face
this, right?
thumbnail, my face created less
Cost
views?
them
Thanks a lot,
right?
Mike.
Company money,
Here
Bull.
we go. No, I mean, here we go. And I said it before, but we can't. Oh, okay. We can say Ryan Day they called a good game. We can say C.J. Stroud called a good game, but I'll never go back off of what I'm talking about. We bring you here not to have good games. We bring you here not to have good showings. We bring you here to beat Michigan, and we bring you here to win playoff games and eventually play for the national title. That's my opinion. If you look at the defense needs better play calling. The number one indicator in all defenses is leverage, right? When you see people get gashed, when you go to cover 0, cover 1, when you have these young guys who are around town says, hey, man, when we're up 11 and we're in the fourth quarter, why are we going to cover 0 or cover 1 when we don't have superstar cornerbacks? We don't have Denzel Wards. We don't have these first-rounders who have been here and they have no protection over top. And so just as you will hold a player accountable, you have to go in there and say, hey, Jim knows, what was going through your mind when you called the plays that you called? Why would you not sit people over top? We're winning. We're beating these people, right? We can say Marvin Harrison Jr. got taken out the game. We can say that was a cheap shot. You can say it was targeting. You can say all that. But when you're up 11 points in the fourth quarter, bro, there is no reason that you should lose any game. We should be cruising to the national championship. We should be out in L.A. getting ready to go play TCU and probably having a good chance to beat TCU and go win this thing. So if it's me, hey, great Ryan Day, you had a better showing on offense. Great C.J. Stroud, you ended your career with a good game. But at the end of the day, we bring you guys here and pay you for a legitimate reason. And that is to win these games.
Now?
And I mean, yeah. So,
You know something we don't? We're paying you all this money. Go win.
Yeah, but so I don't like these. We can sit here and say we don't like for everybody gets a trophy, right?
Right.
Yeah. And it's around town. Everybody's oh, he fought well.
No,
but he didn't win.
That's not
Yeah,
it.
you don't get style points. You don't get consolation points. At Ohio State, the goal every year is to get the chip. If you don't, it's a failure of a season. There's only a couple programs you can say that about. Alabama's one of them. I think Ohio State is one.
Yeah.
And they didn't close the deal, particularly to your point. When you're up 11 in the fourth,
They needed that running game.
you got to close that deal.
Let me say this.
They needed that running game. If
Go
they
ahead.
would have had the running game down the stretch, they could have got them off the sticks in the fourth quarter.
I even think with Marvin Harrison.
I was just going to say that.
He
If
was the
Harrison's
difference
out there, they
maker.
win the game.
They
Guys,
win the
in
game
the end,
with
the
Harrison.
offense did enough. The defense.
They did.
Yeah,
The defense let him down.
You
And
don't-
But I'm glad you brought up the play calling because he was putting his guys out there with no safety net, and we've seen what that looks like this year. To your point, the
Can I say
caliber of defensive backs they have, they're not great.
Okay, just like this. So just like you're on the show, right? It takes you about how long? A couple weeks to figure out who's around and who can do what, right? And this is television, right? This is television, podcast, and TV show, whatever you want to call it, right?
Right.
It takes you a handful of weeks to figure out your personnel on the show and who can do what and who can say what and who can input. If I've gotten you in January, February, March, and you've been on the field every day with these players, you've seen them in one-on-one drills, you've seen them in group drills, you've seen them in team drills, you know exactly who your personnel is. You know what I mean? When I come and give you $2 million, I'm not giving you $2 million to experiment. I'm giving you $2 million because when the offense lines up, this is what a coordinator's job is. When they get into this set, whether they get in double wide, double tight, whether they get in whatever set that they get in front of you, there are so many variations of plays that they can run. and you're supposed to line up your defense accordingly to have the appropriate leverage based on down and distance, based on where you're at on the field. Field positioning is just based on personnel in general. And so if you had the same struggle against Michigan and you were in cover zero and the whole Columbus, Ohio said, yo, bro, you can't run cover zero with these corners. Why would you even think that in the fourth quarter when you're up 11 against their receiver, who's the fastest guy on the field, they ran a formation that made you cover him with a safety? Why are we putting the safety over top of him? The safety's supposed to be over top of coverage. You bring a nickel back in, or even if they were running a hurry-up offense, you're supposed to know what personnel to get on the field and the coverage to protect certain guys. And so that's my issue. And so we'll criticize Deshaun Watson. We'll criticize David Njoku. We'll criticize C.J. Stroud. We'll criticize somebody for dropping the ball, right? But it seems to come like when you come to say, hey, coach, like your decision-making and your evaluation or your awareness of the situation, we don't like to have this conversation, and I don't know why. You know what I mean? That's what bothers me. And you're a paid professional.
We love
We
calling
love those conversations here, man. You know that.
Yes.
Thanks, Maurice.
I'm talking about local journalism.
You're right.
Yeah.
Mo, G's no longer local. G's national.
Homer Mo, Happy New Year, man.
See you, buddy.
Happy New Year to you all, too.
That Mo bias